The film starts with a scene of many apple trees, their apples broken and lying on the ground, rotten with worms inside. A little girl comes along and picks up one of the apples, then starts heading home. Her mother, Jessica, sees her and immediately calls her. Jessica had 2 children, this girl and her younger son. The girl brings the apple to her mother, Jessica, and hands it to her. But since there were already many apples at home and they were all rotten, Jessica throws the apple into the basket. This upsets her daughter, and she says, "Mom, I brought this apple to you with so much love, and you just throw it in the basket. You broke my heart." It is revealed that Jessica had been addicted to dangerous substances but had recently returned from the hospital after receiving treatment. She had quit the dangerous substances for now. Her husband, however, still had a bad habit of using these substances and refused to get treatment, even though it affected their lives. He had left her and their children, choosing to live separately. Now Jessica had to take care of the children alone. The house they lived in was her father's, who had passed away. It was very old and broken, with not much furniture inside. The condition of the rooms and doors was poor, especially the storeroom door. Whenever it was closed, it couldn't be opened from the inside. So whenever Jessica needed something from there, she would either put something in front of the door or use her feet to keep it from closing. This had happened many times before. When her husband used to live with her, he would open the door from the outside to let Jessica out. But now he wasn't around because he refused to quit the dangerous substances. Since she had no money, Jessica thought about making apple jam and selling it. Her mother had also earned money by making jam, and Jessica knew a good recipe. However, because the apples were rotting, this idea didn't work. Jessica was deeply worried. She had to pay taxes, pay off debts, and take care of her 2 children. So, she didn't know what to do or what kind of work would bring in enough money. Then, she decided to call her mother, who lived in the city. She hoped her mother could help her find a job there. Her mother answered the phone, saying, "If you come with the intention to work. I know you've quit the dangerous substances, but that doesn't mean I trust you fully." Jessica responded, saying, "I'm coming to work because I have many responsibilities." She began packing her things, which were all in the storeroom. When she went inside, the door suddenly slammed shut due to the wind, trapping her inside. Jessica became very worried because her 2 young children were outside, alone. Her daughter was too small to open the door, but Jessica managed to call her and ask for a screwdriver. Her daughter brought it to her, but after trying for a long time, Jessica couldn't open the door. The door could only be opened from the outside. Luckily, her husband arrived at that moment. He opened the door, and Jessica was freed. He began making fun of her, saying, "I'm not even surprised anymore that you're locked in the storeroom. This has become a regular thing for you. What do you even do with your life? Are you a little girl?" Jessica replied, "First of all, you are not welcome here because you are still addicted to the dangerous substances. Secondly, I thank you for helping me, but now you should leave. I don't want your addiction affecting me or my children. I've quit the addiction, but you still live with it." Jessica's husband was angry and refused to listen to her. He had brought a friend with him, Sammy, who was also addicted to dangerous substances. Sammy was not a good person and was known to kidnap children and harm them. Jessica didn't want Sammy anywhere near her children. Jessica explained this to her husband, asking him to leave with Sammy and never bring him back unless he was free from his addiction. Sammy got angry and approached Jessica, saying, "What's your problem with me? What have I done wrong?" He began trying to turn Jessica's husband against her, saying, "Your wife thinks badly of me, and it hurts." Her husband, swayed by Sammy's words, slapped Jessica out of anger and frustration, as he resented her for quitting the dangerous substances while he hadn't. He was furious because he felt she was now better than him. Still, Jessica remained firm. She said, "You can do whatever you want to me, but Sammy should never come here again, and neither should you, as long as you remain addicted. I want to take care of my children, and I don't want them to be negatively affected by your behavior." Her husband, enraged, slapped her again, picked her up, and locked her in the storeroom. He put a board in front of the door to keep it from opening. Jessica pleaded, crying, "Please let me out. You are the reason we are in this situation now. You didn't leave any money for us. Please, get me out." But her husband didn't respond. Jessica's phone had fallen outside the storeroom when her husband locked her inside, and he had taken all the money from her purses. She had planned to leave with that money, but now she couldn't, since she was stuck inside. While Jessica was trapped, she injured her hand when a nail pierced it. She cried out in pain but remained concerned about her children, telling her daughter to take care of her younger brother and not to open the door. Her daughter, though small, was very smart, and she followed Jessica's instructions. After a while, her daughter came to Jessica and said, "Mom, my brother is crying. Maybe he's hungry. When will you come out?" Jessica, crying, replied, "My dear, I want to come out, but I'm stuck here. Go and sit with your brother. He'll stop crying." Her daughter did as told and managed to calm her brother down. Later, Jessica told her daughter to bring her phone, so she could call for help. The girl, curious, asked, "Why do you need the phone?" At first, Jessica was irritated but controlled her anger and explained, "I want to call for help." However, when the daughter brought the phone, there was no signal. Jessica sat there, worried because their house was isolated and there was no one nearby to help them. As night fell, the weather worsened, and the thunder frightened her daughter. Jessica reassured her, "Don't be afraid, my dear. I'll come out soon. Everything will be okay." The next morning, her son complained, "Mom, we're hungry." Jessica gave him the jam she had stored, and the children ate. Jessica herself survived on little hope, hoping that today her husband would return, his anger would have cooled, and she'd be freed. But her husband didn't come that day either. She couldn't stay locked in the storeroom any longer. Her children needed her, and they were scared. Her son started crying again, so Jessica told her daughter to hide her brother and return when he fell asleep. Once the boy was settled, the girl came back to help her mother. Jessica asked her daughter to bring something to break the door or the floor, but the girl could only bring small things: wood, toys, spoons, and forks. Frustrated, Jessica shouted, "What are you giving me? None of this will work." The child began to cry, and Jessica immediately realized her mistake. She apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, my dear. I shouldn't have scolded you. Please, go back and take care of your brother." Jessica cried as she thought about all the mistakes she had made in her life. The biggest one was marrying her husband. In the storeroom, she had some of the substances she had once used. For a moment, she considered using them, but with great courage, she stopped herself. She continued to hope and wait, hoping for a way out, for her children, and for herself.